Hello and welcome to an Everyday Canines video. This is a little fitness video about getting your dog back into fitness after time off, and some exercises you can do to help condition them and make sure they're up to strength for agility. I'm going to say straight off, if you think your dog has an injury or they are reluctant to do something, always get them checked out by your vet and get a referral to a veterinary physio. I am not a qualified veterinary physio. I pick up these things and do these things for my own dog's fitness, but it's very important if you think your dog has an injury or there's something not right, you get them checked out. So this is for dogs that are fit, that they've got no injury and they're just getting started. It could be also be puppies. And this is basically lunge work. It's very similar to what you would do with a horse, lunging around in circles. Now, circle work is a good little exercise for dogs for a couple of reasons. It gives us a chance to analyse our dog's stride if we film that. Also gives our dogs a chance to work on direction changing and strengthening both sides. I don't like doing tight circle works where your dog spins round and round on the spot. I think that has a potential to cause injuries to your dog, strain on the shoulders, strains on the spine. So I prefer to avoid that. My dogs can do tight spins on the spot, so if I go lee lee lee, they can, but I would not ask for that repeatedly. And the same with going around a narrow object, I wouldn't ask for that repeatedly. It's just it's too much strain on the body, and potentially you could be doing more damage than you're doing good. So when I'm doing circle work, I want it to be a nice big circle. And as you can see, it's a lovely windy day and all my hoops are going to fly away. I spend my life correcting my hoops. If you've watched some of my earlier videos, you will know I'm a big fan of using hoops in my training. This is great for doing some simple circle work because I can set my hoops up in a circle when they're not been blown down by the wind, and my dog will follow the hoops round and round. Lovely circle work. If you don't have hoops, you could use cones, but again, as I said earlier, please make sure you do a nice spaced out circle. So it shouldn't ever be a tight circle like this. It needs to be a nice circle where your dog can spread out. So I'm aiming for 2 meters across the middle of my circle. So effectively, when my dog is turning, they're going to be at least 2 meters away from me in the center point. If you imagine I'm the pivot point in the middle, like a clock, I want at least 1 meter either side of me that my dog is turning. That is giving my dog plenty of room to spread out, stretch their legs. They're not doing this tight work, but they're also using their muscles in a different way to build up strength. So what am I looking for when my dog goes round? Well, first of all, you should film this because you will see so much. If you can't film this, get someone you trust to watch your dog, because what you want with your dog, and we'll do some slow-mo videos so you can see this, when your dog is going round, you want your dog to be being split hinds. That means that as the dog is moving, they're not doing this, they're doing this with their rear end. It's difficult for me to do because I'm not a four-legged animal, but effectively you should see light between their hind legs. If you can't see height behind their hind legs and they're really hopping like this, they're keeping their legs closed, that is an indication there's something wrong. It's probably like there's something hurts or there's an injury and you need to get that checked out. It's a classic sign that something isn't quite right. Obviously, how much your dog splits their legs depends on the size of the dog. With small dogs, it can be harder to see, but as long as there's some sort of split foot going on, that's good. The other thing we're looking at is when my dog is turning, we want to see if there's a side they favour. Most dogs, like people, have a favourite side. So I know Swift turns better right than she does left. So I always monitor and see what she's doing. Is she turning as nicely left as turning right? And what I want to see when she's going around the circle is I want to see that this leg is not moving quite so much as this leg. If you imagine they're turning in a circle, so they're having to use this leg to push, this leg is striding, and vice versa. So I want to make sure she is doing that correctly. and I want to look at that. Similarly, we're not going to just do one way round. We don't want to encourage lopsidedness. We're going to do both ways, going different directions. So our dog is strengthening both legs. If she did have a weak side, she's pretty good now, she's pretty even, but when she did have a slightly weaker side, then I would aim to do, say I did 5 repetitions, I would start on the weak side, then do the good side, weak side, good side, finish on the weak side. So she got 1 extra repetition on the weak side. But you really want to do all this, and you can do smaller circles where they're in a heel work position beside you because you're going with them, and you can do circles like this with them in a heel work. But I quite like this because they're striding out. So I shall rescue my hoops and we shall have a look and see what it looks like. So my circle is set up to be nice and flowing. There are no sharp lines. It's all a nice curve, and the dog is effectively going to be able to follow its line. So let's get on with this, Swift. Quickly take off your harness. Okay, ready, go. Nice. Good girl, get it. Yeah, it's here. So we're going to do that a bit faster, we do the opposite way. So there she's getting a bit of a gallop up, that's what I want, search. Ready, ready. Go. So we're getting a nice little movement. Good girl, search. And she's just gently cantering through there. Ready? And you notice she's keeping into the inner side of the circle. Looking good, Swiftits. So I'm filming this so I can look back and check her motion because I can't see it so easy this way. Because it's difficult for me to see, and I really want her to be in a canter. When she goes to the trot, that's okay. And she can do it as a trot, but I want you to see the canter as well. Okay, ready? So I'm going to encourage that with a treat. But you can see that's all we're doing. We can make this circle bigger. But this is a nice size because she's doing a nice turn, but it's not too tight. And we're working both ends. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to see when you look at the video that her hind feet are splitting, but also she's changing her weight shift so that sometimes she's putting more weight on the inner leg when it's on the left, and then when it's on the right. So she's changing that. Ready? Come on in. She is a bit more conscious about what she's doing than some of my other dogs. Some of my other dogs will actually run through that without me having to encourage them. But that's who she is. Now I've done several repetitions. It is low impact work, but I don't want to overdo it because I don't want to strain her body. I also don't want to lose her enthusiasm. You know, you could do this for 10 minutes, but those last runs, they're going to be rubbish. You need to do them when there's good quality. It's quality over quantity. So I don't know how many reps I did, probably about 8, maybe. That is plenty. When you're doing something like this, I'd say have a go at it once a week. Set it up. I'm starting to do this more and more, my girls. And it's quite nice, a little exercise. You could do it at the end of a training session. Just to unwind, a bit of a cool down, to get those muscles stretching out after they've done some heavy work, especially if they've been doing a lot of weaves or something. You could have it just as a session on its own, as a bit of a warm up as well. But yeah, I do it once a week, just a few reps back and forth, and I would film every time just to keep, because then I've got a record to see that my dog is moving correctly. And if at any point I look at it and think, that's not as good as the week before or the month before, I've got then a record I can then show to my physio and say, I'm not happy about this, do you think there's a problem here? So I hope that makes sense, and you can see it's a nice light exercise just to start putting a bit of fitness back in, getting your dog to think about weight shifting, making sure they're using those hind end muscles correctly as they turn, and just to put a bit of strength back into the different muscles. If you've enjoyed this Everyday Canines video, you might like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram. I hope to see you all again very, very soon.